So in the continuous session, so in the last session I said one statement. So whenever we submit the data, so as of now the data is permanently stored in the rule base, but in between that the data will be temporarily or it will be available for some time in a tool called clipboard tool. Okay, so more about that clipboard and all I'll tell you. So actually when you submit the data in the flow, so it will will submit the values whatever the web page opens, and after that first it will go to the clipboard page, and from there it will go to the server. Okay, that process I'll tell you today in detail. And before the clipboard, so we'll understand Pega contains so many built-in tables are there. Okay, so in the tables we don't add anything, or we don't manually add anything, or we don't customize anything, but it is categorized into mainly three types. Again in coming scenarios we'll get some more tables we'll get, but mainly in the rule base there are three categories of tables are there: PC, PR and PR4. Okay, so yesterday I told what is like a worker table commander, it will start with PC, so that we can also call it as a PC table, or work table is the other name. So in this work object data, any data submitted in the execution, so that data will be stored in the rule based PC table. And the second one is a PR table. So this still we didn't use, we'll be using in the, okay, today if time is there I'll be creating tables. So any tables are added in application, so tables will be saved under PR tables. Okay, so any data tables we create in application, data tables will be saved under PR tables. So how to create tables we'll understand today. And any rules we create in application, rules means till now like classes are rules, properties, sections, action, flow. So all these are nothing but rules. So any rule we create in application, so for every rule some specific PR4 table will be there, and under that all the data will be stored. See, the thing is, the Pega platform, whatever we see here, see, we are just using this platform to add the rules, to use the rules and to map the rules, but actually any rule created in this platform, where it will be stored permanently under some respective tables, it will be stored in the rule base. So any Pega rule we create in application, it will be having one specific PR4 table will be there. If you take any Pega rule, for every rule in Pega, one specific PR4 table will be there, it will be stored under that. Don't worry, we cannot view that, but I can show the backend configuration. If you check the connection, it will be showing that it will be connected to some PR4 table. So like that, any rules we create in application, any Pega rules we create, see, first of all, every Pega rule will be having some instance name. So we'll call it as a rule instance or class instance, and that class, from there it will be connected to the PR4 table. So that all actually backend thing. So but you have to remember these instance names. Okay, in the future when you take any during some backup process and all, we need to know the instance names. As of now I'm giving, but later in the coming sessions how to check, if you want to know for any rule how to check the instance name, I'll show you when I discuss about keys concept. Then I'll discuss how to check any rule if you don't know the instance name, how to manually check, and how to know the instance name, I'll show you later. Okay, so but as of now remember, for the rules which I added in the previous topics, so these are the names. Instance names will be different for every rule. So rule obj property, and based on the instance, the property rules, any property rules we create in application, it will be connected to some PR4 table in the rule base. Like any sections we create, it will have an instance, and this will be connected to some PR4 table in the rule base. So like that, for every rule we take in application, or every rule we create in application, so further it will be having some rule instance, and it will be connected to some PR4 table. So the thing is, Pega application just we are using as a virtual platform just to add the rules and to use the rules and for mapping purpose. But in the backend, all the data what we create here in this platform, so in the background it will be stored under the some rule based tables, it will be stored. Okay, so like any Pega rules means it will store under PR4, and any data types are created, it will store under PR. So data types today I'll show you if time is there. And any work object data submitted, like test data, any data submitted, it will be saved under this work table. Okay, so like that in the application. Okay, like that again in PC some other categories of tables are there, and in PR also some other categories of tables are there. that I'll discuss in topic wise. I'll discuss. Okay. Now these are the three main things. Just know them, but no need to verify practically. No need to verify. Suppose if I want to test one rule, I'm going to test this one. Open any. So if you know the instance names, you have to remember them. For every rule, I'll be giving in the future classes also. For example, I'm going to open a rule call. Rule obj property instance I'm going to open, and say click on definition, right click on class and click on, and all the instances will be of concrete does not belongs to class group. So any instance classes we have in Pega, so these come under concrete and does not belongs to class group. So if you check on definition, so I said that all the property rules will be having this instance, and your properties will be connected to some PR4 table, right? So if you click on the information here, so class property is mapped to a table called PR4 underscore property. Like that, any rule you create in application, it will be having some specific PR4 table will be there, and to that it will be connected. Okay. So like that in application, so anything we, okay, please mute the microphones. So anything we create in the application, in the background, it will be connected to some PR4 table, it will be connected. Okay. Now, okay, so this is informational. Just know this. Maybe in certifications or interview questions, you may get related questions. Now, the next one we are going to understand about is how to debug the data in developer environment. Okay, because in rule base you may get access or you may not get access in the real time. For every developer, they may not get access for the rule based configuration in the real time, but in the developer environment only, whenever we execute any flow, so we are going to debug in the platform itself. We are going to debug, that is in the PRPC or in the developer studio only we are going to debug. Okay, so for that we have a tool called clipboard. So what is clipboard means? See, in Pega platform, we can call it as this clipboard is a debugging tool, and we can also see any data goes out or comes in. So that is goes out means Pega to database connections when you're creating. That is when data passes from Pega to data tables or table to Pega, or Pega when data passing from Pega to external applications or external applications to Pega. See, any mapping we do, see work, data, int, these three are there, right? Any connections between these three, work to data classes and data to work, work to integration or integration to work, data to integration or integration to data, any mappings we do, so the data will pass through clipboard only. So because clipboard is the main interface in Pega, any data goes or out or comes in through clipboard only, it is going to pass. So this is the primary server. Okay, rule base is the main server, but in the developer studio or in the developer environment, clipboard will act as a primary server. And any data, if you want to submit or if you want to fetch or if you want to retrieve or if you want to submit to other applications or external databases, so through clipboard only it is going to pass. So that's why it is also called as a primary server, you will be calling. Okay. So another thing is, in the previous topic also, that is when I submit the data in the flow, so I directly said that it will be stored in the rule base permanently, but before going to rule base, the data will be first available in the clipboard. Temporarily it will be available, and always when the data passes through clipboard, this will not be permanent in clipboard. In clipboard only during that execution, see, whenever we execute, some ID is creating, right? Transaction page is creating with some ID details. So until the transaction is open, we can view the data in the clipboard. Once we close the transaction, so the data in the clipboard will lost. So clipboard is not a permanent memory, but which is permanent memory in the rule base, in the work tables, the data will be permanent. Or in the any data types are created in PR tables, it will be permanent. And if you create any rules in PR4 tables, the data will be permanent. But in clipboard, when you pass any data or when you get any data, so it will be available temporarily when the transaction is open or when the ID is open or when the transaction page is open. So then we can view the data in the clipboard if you want to debug anything. See, debugging means what? If the value successfully assigned or not, or if the any business logic is written is successfully, the methods or functions are working or not according to the parameters given, any database connectivity given, so the data exactly saved or not, or fetched or not. So any external applications when you're connecting, so whether from external application the request is sent or not, the response is received or not, so that all the things we can verify. Because as a developer, after the mapping, we need to check that functionality is right, whether it is working or not. To verify that functionality, we need to get a confirmation from our side, from our end. We need to compulsory execute the data, and we need to verify the results. If results are okay, then only we can conclude and we can finalize the rule. That is we can just decide that rule is finished, that mapping is finished. So whenever we execute any data, so after the conditions or after business logic or any mappings are given, so we can debug the data using this is the main tool in the application in order to perform debugging. There is some other tool also, we have tracer. In tomorrow, not tomorrow, in Monday session we are going to work on that. So like that, any data goes out or comes in, or between any classes when you're mapping any data, so through clipboard only we can debug. Okay. And other thing is, in clipboard you'll contain some pages, user pages, data pages, system pages, linker pages, like a different four categories of pages will be there. Okay, that also you'll understand step by step. But any main debugging like flows when you execute or any other things if you execute, so we'll be debugging from user pages, will be debugging. Okay. And see some points what I discussed, technically also I've given. So clipboard is a debugging tool, and in clipboard will act as interface between any mappings if you do between Pega application and databases, and database to application, or Pega application to external applications. Any mapping we do, so data will pass through clipboard only. It will act as a primary server, or it will act as a main interface. So here we can also view the results. What are the values assigned to the properties, or what are the values mapped in the application. So we can also view the data in the clipboard. But here data is not permanent, it is only temporary. Until the transaction is open, we can view in the clipboard. Once the transaction is closed, the data in the clipboard will lost, because it will lost in clipboard. But again when they run again, then the new data will be replaced with the in the clipboard. Again if you execute third time, again the new data will be replaced. So like that, only during that execution only we can see the data. Suppose yesterday's execution, if I want to check now, I can't check now because the transaction is already closed. If I execute any new data again and submit any data, I can check in the clipboard now. Okay, but not the past data I cannot check. Only the latest transaction information only we can check in the clipboard. And in order to check, how to check means you'll be having something called user pages. So in user pages, you'll be having some Pega. See, when you're doing any mappings again here, work to other classes when you're performing any actions. So you'll be having one default page called py work page. You have to remember this property again. This is a property actually. So py work page is the default property in Pega, or default page in Pega. So from work to other classes, if you are mapping any data, so we have to check under this page. Again, if you are debugging any data from data to other classes or integration to other classes, we can add our own user pages. You can add that, you will be getting in the coming classes. You'll understand more about this. But work to other classes, any mapping done like work to data or work to integration, so we need to check under a page called py work page. And remember, this is the default user page in Pega. Whenever this, and other thing is, for this py work page, the default class will be work layer, will be the default class. That is the reference class. For every page in Pega, some reference class we have to assign, or for every class we have to give some reference page. And by default in Pega platform, for py work page, the default reference class will be your work layer. Okay. And other thing is, in clipboard will be under this page, will be having all the properties. I tell like last time we have seen pyd, like that. This is called as a single page property. And more about single page property on Monday we are going to work. At the time I'll give some more information regarding that, because this will hold all the properties and its values. Okay, so we can call it as a page property. And in page property we have some categories are there. I'll be working on Monday session, I'll be working on that. So in the py work page now, So it will be having like in the user page you will be having this pwork page, and any work object data submitted you can check under this page, we can check. Okay, and this is the reference page for your work layer and work classes. Okay, and this point I'll discuss later. Pyd is a class key. I told yesterday also, when I open the class group name, you can see pyd will be set as a class key, so that then only we can compile the flows in the is a class group and belongs to class group. And now other point is, main point is work to other classes when you are performing any action. So in the clipboard we have to check under pwork page, and data to other classes or integration to other classes if you are mapping, so we have to give our own page names, so that you will understand later. In activity rule will be implementing all these things, what is activities and how to use them. It will take some time, some 4 or 5 sessions after we'll be working on all these things. Okay? And here, when any debugging if want to perform in the clipboard, if the work id is open, then only we can see the data. If work id is closed, then we cannot view the data in the clipboard. So let's see how to debug using clipboard. So execute the flow again. What are the flow we used in the last session? So run the flow once again. So go to actions and run. So give some test information for few fields. And clipboard will be available in the footer. Okay, so when you are executing flows, we can open the clipboard option from footer option. See here, I told that browser by default some 100% default size is there, means you can only see the names of the icons here. But if you control minus, if you click, okay, control minus, if you click, you can see the detailed names of the menus, and in the footer also you can see the names of the tools. Otherwise the third one in this here, it is a clipboard tool. Okay, if you click on minus, that is if the size is default size browser size, means it will only show these symbol icons, we can say. So the third one here in the footer is right side, in the third one is footer, sorry, in the footer the third one is clipboard. Okay, so but when we have to open clipboard, means after submitting the data we have to open the clipboard, not before. Okay, so first of all submit some test data. So I'm giving only for a few fields, just submit the data. So as of now there is no database connection, but you will again more understand more about the clipboard in the next scenarios. See, after submitting, this page is there, right? This should be open. Okay, that is I mean to say, it should not close this tab, the work id tab which is generated in my application. So don't close the tab, and now you can open clipboard. So in the clipboard you'll be having see, first of all, what is the work id? So you can see in the thread. See, thread is also nothing but work id value. So earlier yesterday I told you work id, case id, transaction id, thread id, pyd. So anything we can use, I said, right? So when you run the transaction, open the clipboard, you can see the latest thread number. You can see your thread number. You can see here. I cannot access the old numbers. I cannot access only the latest thread information. Only we can see in the clipboard. And in clipboard you'll be having 4 categories of pages will be there. Other options I'll discuss later. Now we need to check under user pages. So in user pages, don't worry again, this is all some predefined things, but you need to check under one page called py work page. In alphabetical order, if you scroll down, it will be somewhere in the bottom. So you can see py work page will always refer to your work layer. Okay, so for the py work page, the reference class will be your work layer will be there. Just click on this. So you can see in the right side, it will show page name, and here pr page contains user defined and predefined properties will be loaded. See, in the pr page it will hold many properties because it is a page property. It's a single page property actually. What are page properties and types of page properties, you will understand on Monday class, you will understand. So in this it will hold the values of the for which values are given, it will hold the values here. Okay, and remaining in alphabetical order will be there again here. All the properties, user defined properties also, it will be there in alphabetical order. State you can see in the end. So like that here, so it contains so many predefined properties which will take the default values. For example, PYD, if you want to see, you can check in this PWork page, you can see. So scroll down, you can see your PYD value like that. So many other properties will be there in this, that which are important. I will be discussing step by step, not today. So it will take the application name, it will take application ID. So that is who provided this information, what is the date and time, what is the system name, what is the name of the developer, what is the user ID of the developer. So all that information it will be taking automatically in the runtime. Okay, so that all no need to change also. Just if you want to see the data or view the data what are we submitted and whether the data is assigned or not, if you want to check, you can check in the clipboard. Okay, don't worry, but in the coming classes some more things we will be conferring in the business logic, like activities, methods, functions and all will be adding. Okay, as of now all those things are not configured. As of now this is the process I'm showing, don't worry. Again we'll be understanding more about the clipboard in the coming scenarios. So but any debugging if you want to perform, so like that we'll open the clipboard and we can see the data in the user pages, we can check. Okay, suppose after checking, if you close the clipboard now, and I'm going to close this work ID. Okay, so close the work ID. So what I said, in the clipboard the data is only available if the transaction is open, that is if the work ID is displayed. Until then only we can check the data in the clipboard. Suppose if you close the work ID, now what happens is the data in the clipboard will be lost, but it will be permanently saved in the rule base, it will be stored permanently. Okay, in the work table it will be stored permanently. But if you open now again clipboard, if you open now after closing that work ID, see you will be having user pages will be there, but in the user pages you will not be having a pwork page will not be there. Okay, so pwork page will be there only if any transaction data is there, then only you can see pwork page. Okay, if you don't have any transaction data, this if the id is not open, we cannot see any data in the clipboard. And in the thread also you cannot see the number. If in the thread option if you see the number, then only the pwork page and the information we can check. Okay, it will only show the flow name, but if any thread number is there, then only you'll be getting pwork page, and then only we can see any data submitted in the in the current transaction. We cannot check once the transaction is closed, that id is closed means we cannot see the data in the clipboard. So because if you are executing, only you can check your execution data, only you can check. Like if some other is in his system, if you execute the flow, his id will be different and he can check his data like that. Only the latest transaction data only they can view in the clipboard. Okay, not the previous and past transactions they cannot check. Like that there are more things are there in the clipboard, but this is just a basic introduction regarding what is clipboard and how to debug the flows, just I have shown. But again in the next scenarios we'll be adding more regarding this clipboard. Okay, we'll be knowing more things about the clipboard and some predefined properties we are going to understand in this clipboard. Okay, so once again a quick review. So like clipboard is, it will act as a main primary server. Any data like that, now we just submitted the data, so we can view in the clipboard. Like that in the future from table if you are fetching any data, so it will first of all map to clipboard, and from clipboard we need to map to the UI. Like if you are fetching some data from external application, so first it will map to clipboard. From clipboard we need to map it to the application again. Like that if you are communicating Pega with external databases, so like that anytime any action if you perform in application, any I told right, like these are all the different things we can perform. Work to data, work to integration, data to work, data to integration, integration to work, integration to data. In all these mappings, any mapping we do, so this clipboard will be the primary server, or this clipboard will be the main interface. So without clipboard, so it will take any action we perform, so this is the main interface, it will perform. The data will be first assigned to this clipboard only. Okay, that you will understand more in the next scenarios. And in our application if you want to see how many, see generally in the real time means, so multiple developers will access the same application and they will be executing in their means all operators will have same access, but their user IDs will be different. But when they, if they want to see how many work IDs are created in the application, that is how many times the flow is executed. If they want to see, click on the class group name. If you click on class group name, so in the right side you can see how many work IDs are created, we can check. Okay, so in my application, in this application, 2 IDs are generated. Okay, like that, if you want to check the work IDs information, just you need to, okay, double click on the class group name. So you can see the work IDs information. We can see how many IDs are created in this application, or how many times the execution is done for the flow. And for every flow, the ID will be different, right? We can check the data here. Okay, and apart from that, some other thing is, so in the application earlier we have, see, some properties or some rules are starting with px, py, and pz. Okay, so I'll tell you now what is the importance of px, py, and pz in Pega. Okay, see, if you see, some rules actually mainly in the px, py, pz types, most of them are predefined properties only will be there, 95%. Okay, maybe 5% other rules will be there, but most of them, in this format, px, py, pz, if it is starting, means, see, all are predefined rules only, but mostly in these properties will be there mostly. Okay, see, example px, where did you see? See, px in the property rules, when we are creating, we have seen like controls are all starting with px. Okay, px text input, px integer, px email, px drop down, px reader button, like that. Some px types are there. Like that, Pega contains so many other types, like a px create operator. I'll be again discussing these properties types in the coming classes. I'll be discussing which properties are important. Px create operator, px create open name, px create date time. See, all these fields are nothing but read-only fields. So any rule starting with the px type means it will, the value associated with that px types will be read-only option will be there. They cannot update the value directly. Okay, so all the px types, if we have an application, it will have only read functionality only. It will be there. We don't have any update functionality. Will not be available for that. Okay, and any rule starting with py. So p work page is the one example, pyd is one example. Like that, there are many other types are there, you'll understand later. Actually in py we can read the value and we can update the value also. See, for understanding this better, I'll open clipboard once again. Give me 1 second. I'm going to open the clipboard another time, but I'll run the transaction, I'll open, you'll understand, because I want to show you p work page once. So to understand this px, py, pz, you can understand from the clipboard easily. Practically, I'll show you. So after running, just I'm going to open the clipboard page once again and click on pwork page. See, now here in the, see, first of all, pwork page is also, it start with py. So here in py types, what happens means read functionality will be there. See, directly we're able to read the data, and we can also edit them, but not mandatory again, guys. So but edit functionality also will be there for the py pages. If you click on edit option, so any properties we have under the pwork page, but not again in this pwork page we have px properties will be there and pz properties also will be there. But which properties we can edit means py properties we can edit, and user defined property values we can edit. Okay, but not px properties. See, before that, see, if you click on the edit option means we will get the edit option where we can edit the values in the py type. See, px means if you scroll down, see, there are so many px properties also will be there, but you'll understand later, guys. In this, some 5 to 10 properties will be important that I'll be showing in the next scenarios. You'll be understanding those. So like that, if I click on edit option, for px types you will not get any edit option. You'll not be getting only for the user defined properties, and for the py properties only you'll get the edit option. From py types you can say edit option will be possible. Okay, but px types are nothing but read only. So the only thing is, anywhere if you get these px properties, so the thing is it will have only read behavior, so we can only read the values from the px types. Okay, examples for that are, so earlier we have seen, right, px text input, all the ui controls earlier we have seen like that. So there are so many other are there, you'll be getting in the coming classes. Px create datetime, px create operator, that purpose and when to what is the importance, I'll show it in the coming classes when I discuss about report definition tool. then I'll discuss about some more properties in the application. So the meaning is here px properties are only read only, we don't have any edit functionality. But py types, if you see, we can read the data and also we can update the data. Okay, if required, we can also update the value for the py properties. So that's example you can see here in the clipboard. If I click on edit option, so you can see not only user defined, in the peer page we have other py properties are there. For all the py properties it will show the edit option will be available, but not mandatory. But if they want to edit, they can edit based on the requirement. Another one is pz. See, in pz actually there is no read requirement and no write option will be there. So pz and all just internal purpose, system internal pega system purpose. Okay, we can't read the values from the pz and we can't update the values. So example is pz pv stream we have seen in the last session. So in pz pv stream we cannot read the data from that and we cannot edit any data from that. Okay, like that. So there are some other properties are there, few only will be there in pz, maximum some 3 to 4 only will be there. So in px means we can only read the data, in py means we can read and write, and pz means no read no write. So that is the purpose of the types of these predefined properties. Okay, so some rules also will be there. It will start with px means you can easily understand that it will have only read functionality, py means read and write functionality, pz means no read and no write functionality. Just remember that, that is enough. Anywhere if you get these property types, if it is starting with any of these format, accordingly you can understand what type of property and what we can do with that values of the property, whether we can read or update based on the requirement, we can do that. Okay, so that is the built-in behavior of the px, py and pz types. Okay, just informational, so that anywhere if you get these px, py, pz, you can understand what type of behavior we have, what type of behavior we are going to have for those properties. Okay, so that is about the clipboard introduction. But more about clipboard again after we add business logic in the application. So again we'll be regularly using the clipboard tool. Okay, any connections we create using the activities and data transforms, again we are going to use the clipboard later. Okay, now the next thing is I want to discuss about data tables in pega. So what are data tables and how to define them? See, in the previous classes, if you remember, we have created these. Okay, so first of okay, not data tables. First of all, I'll show you. Okay, data tables. The time. Okay, today I'll define one table. No issue. See, coming to the data tables. See, in the application again, in data tables also two categories will be there. Only data classes will be there and data types will be there. Okay. See, basically in the application, any tables if you want to define, earlier I told you data layer will be there and under the data layer will be defining data tables. Okay, so if you know where is data layer, what is the data layer name, alpha hyphen data, sorry, alpha hyphen alpha auto hyphen data. So any tables we create in application under the data layer we can define. Okay, and tables in pega we can also call it as, actual name is data types in present version. See, up to 7 version we used to call it as data tables only, but after some, okay, actually before 7 version we will be calling as tables, but from 7 version we used to call it as data types we are calling. Okay, this is the new name given after from 7 version, this is the new name given. Okay, and we can also call it as data classes. Once data type is created we can also call it as data class. But in Monday session individually we will be creating data classes also, that I'll tell you. Data types and data classes, some difference is there. So if you are creating data types means we have to set the source. So source is nothing but at least one key we have to set, at least one property we have to set as a key. But if you only create data classes means no need to set the key, because you'll understand what are page properties and reusable properties I said, right? So when I'm creating reusable properties, I'll only create a data class but not the data type. Okay, but after data type is created we can also call it as a data class. We can call that topic what is data class, more you'll understand on Monday session, you'll understand. Okay, and data types we can also call it as data storage is the other name. Okay, and in order to define these tables pega has a wizard. Okay, so the wizard where we need to define is, so if you go to the data types option, so from here we can configure these tables. Okay, from data type explorer we can create the tables. So I'll create a one small table today. So but before that, whenever we define a table, it will be creating different rules will be created in the background. So what are the things it will be created means, so before that, any data classes we create, what type it will be there. So data layer is what type? Earlier we discussed some class types, right? So data layer come under abstract, but under the data layer, if you create any classes, so or if you create any data types, if you define, so these come under concrete and does not belongs to class group. Okay, so data layer is abstract, but under the data layer, if you create any classes, these come under concrete, does not belongs to class group. Okay, so that we know, that process we know, but this one no need to give manually. Once you give the name for the class, automatically the type of class what it is and everything will be generated in the backend. Okay, and one thing is, whenever we define these data types, so it will be creating these things in the backend automatically. So first thing is, when a data type is created, so it will be creating a class will be created. First of all, data class will be created. Okay, and under that we are going to define properties manually. We have to define them. And other thing is, I told you one point, when data types are created, so these will be saved to some tr table in the rule base. So in order to okay, here actually table mapping name and data class name actually both are same only. If you don't want to confuse that, that's why actually separately I have given data class and mapping name, both are same in this application. Okay, but I have given in two different statements I have given. So data class and data table mapping name, everything both are same guys. Okay, that I'll show you once creating the rule. I'll show you. And other thing is, a physical table will be stored in the PR table in the rule base. So in the application for mapping purpose, anywhere if you want to use the table, some mapping name will be created. That is also called as a data class also we can call. So because other name for the mapping name is, we can also call it as a data class. Okay? And one physical rule will be created in the rule base. Okay, that is a backend name, but to use the table anywhere in the application, one mapping name will be created, that is also called as data class. And along with that, some repo definition, one repo definition, and the three types of data pages will be created. So it will be creating three types of data page rules will be created. What is data page rule, you will get after some 3-4 sessions, you will get guys, not today. So these are the things will be generated after your table is generated. Okay, so only thing is, we have to give a name for the table and everything gets generated. And properties we have to define manually. Okay, properties also you need to add manually, add properties, because this one will not be created automatically. We have to manually. So property names will be given manually guys. Okay, so not automatically. So remaining and all, so class or mapping name, and then these physical table, report definition, and three types of data pages will be generated automatically. Only this one manually we have to give. Okay, and let's see how to define this data type. Okay, see again, in data type also we have two different layers will be there. Okay, okay, this one layer will be called as, see, your implementation layer is nothing but, so alpha hyphen alpha auto hyphen data, this is called as division level data layer or implementation data layer. If it is a organization data layer means, just will be calling as alpha hyphen data, this come under organization data layer. See, sometimes when you are creating data tables in application, we may create under implementation level or organization level also we can create, but mostly in the real time, data types means we'll be creating it, organization layer will be creating. Organization layer means alpha hyphen data. What is the advantage of creating under this means, see, if you have more implementation applications under one organization, so we can reuse the same table in other application. If requirement is there, we can reuse the same table in other applications also. But if you add in implementation application, only in that application only we can use the table, but not in the other implementation applications we cannot use. So this is recommended when you're creating any data types. So this is more recommended most of the times. So this is best practice when creating tables in the, because once created we cannot update. That's why most of the time this is we'll be creating the data types at organization level, we'll be creating, so that in the future any applications are created, so there also we can reuse the tables. Okay, so organization level means, but this one we have to manually update the parent class. When you open the table structure, we have to manually update the type of class. Okay, and by default it will show the implementation layer. We have to remove the division name and we have to give it as organization data layer we have to give. Okay, so this is means under this, if you create only in your implementation only you can use the table. If you add under organization data layer means in all implementation applications we can reuse the table. That is only difference. Okay, in implementation if you define in your application only you can use the table. In organizational level if you create in other implementations also you can reuse the table, because see, if you remember I told you the once inheritance chart, right? Like rules also the purpose is same. In the previous classes I told one thing, if you create at organization level, 1 second, sorry, this is opening in a different format. Okay, I'll open right now temporarily. So if you open this one, see, if you create in organization level, what I said, in all divisions we can reuse, right? That's why in data layer, if you in organization data layer, if you are creating any tables means in all the divisions we can reuse the data. But if you create in the division level means we can only reuse in that particular application only we can reuse. So that all depend upon the requirement we'll be creating. But most of the time when you're creating these tables in application, so we are going to define at organization level we are going to define. Okay, so here I want to add one table called states table. Okay, but this usage we'll be using in the after 2 sessions we'll be using, not in the next session. But I'll be creating the table today, but this table purpose and usage and all we will work after creating activity rule only. We'll be working on this. Okay, so I'll be creating one table today. I'm giving a name as states table with 2 columns, state code and state name. And every table when you're creating at least one property we have to set as a key. Okay, so that key will be calling as a class key. In some other technologies we will be calling as a primary key, but in Pega we'll be calling it as a class key we'll be calling. Okay, so let's say this is the thing. So this is the name I want to give to the table, and these are the 2 columns I'm going to define, state code and state name. And state code I'm going to set as a class key. See, when you set as a class key, what happens means for that column it will not allow any duplicate records. Okay, suppose if you try to give any duplicate record also, the previous record, suppose if I give some state code as some API I have given means, again if you give the same record it is going to replace the previous one. Okay, so this one I'm creating in order to understand the business logic in Pega, but later we'll be creating more tables we'll be creating. So first I'm going to create this table with the 2 columns and how to define the structure. Let's see, simple only, not any difficult thing. See, now you need to go to data types. See, wizard will be there to create the table. So go to data types. So click on add data type option. So this dialog box will open. Here we need to give a name. So classes and all automatically generated here. See, by default, what I said, you will be getting a division level data layer you will be getting. So if you open these advanced settings, so by default, you will be getting the parent as division level data layer. That is implementation data layer or your data layer, division level data layer will call. But I want to create this table at organization level I want to create. Okay, so in that case, what I need to do means, okay, remove the division name, or manually also you can select in the drop down. So just give it as alpha-hyphen data. So now your table will be created under organizational level. Okay, earlier it is parent class is division level parent is there, but now after updation it will be created now under, so organization data layer it will be created. Now click on submit. Just give the name, update the parent class to so alpha-hyphen data, and now so just submit this. Click on submit. So in the background, this class will be automatically created. So the class type will be concrete, does not belongs to class group, and wizard will open. Your data model wizard is property wizard is there, right? So where you can give the list of properties in the class. So it will open the wizard, and what are the fields required or what are the properties required in this table, we have to give manually. Okay, and here I want to show the class. So if you want to see the class path and all, in the arrow here, you can click on open class record. If you click on open class record, so what type of class it is and all we can check. So type is concrete. So you can see does not belongs to class group. And if you scroll down, so parent will be automatically, direct parent is nothing but alpha hyphen data. Okay, because we have given these at organization data layer, under that we are creating this, right? You will be getting the direct parent as alpha hyphen data. Okay, no need to change anything. If you want to view the class path, you can check. Okay, now I'm going to add these two fields. One is state code, and I'm giving the type as text only, guys, because these are all string values. So type is text only, no need to change. So these two columns I'm creating. Now see, the table is not completed. If you only up to here, if you create, it is just a data class will be calling, and how to create data classes also in the next scenario will be again working. So in the Monday session, so up to here only if you create, this is not a table, but how to convert this data class to table means, so you need to go to records tab. So go to records tab in the table. So you will be having, if you go to the source tab also, you'll be getting some link from here. If you click, or from records if you click also, it will again navigate to some wizard again. So go to records tab and click on this configure source. See, in the configure source, when you click, it will show the user defined properties which are created, and some predefined properties list also it will show you. But for predefined properties, we cannot set any source. Only for the user defined properties, you'll be getting this option use as key. Okay, that is at least one property we have to set as a key here. So I want to set this state code as a class key, but once after setting we cannot update again. So which property you are setting, so finalize, they'll finalize one property which to create, and that will be set permanently. Okay, so enable this checkbox. So state code I'm setting as a class key, and now click on submit button. See, one or more also you can set. Suppose if you have requirement like more than one, if you have also, you can set more than one. That again I'll show it in the next examples. So but minimum one property we have to set as a key. Now click on submit. I told you something that it will be creating different rules after generating the table. After you click on submit, now table will be created. So class now will be converted to data type. So after setting source, now this data class is converted to data type. So earlier without setting we'll just call it as a data class, but after setting source, now it is converted to data type. So and if you want to view all the details which are generated, so here you can see this view details checkbox is there, just select this. Okay, see what are the things I said. So first of all, it will be creating a data class, or we can also call it as a data table mapping name. So anywhere if you want to use the name is, this is the data class, or we can also call it as a data table mapping. Sorry, anywhere if you want to use this table in the PRPC platform, so we'll be using this name alpha-data-stage table. And other thing is, it will be creating, we have created properties, so properties will be created. And third one is a physical table will be created in the PR table. So you can see, so what are the tables generated? So the main table will be saved in the PR table in the rule base, PR underscore alpha underscore data underscore stage table. See, this is just a mapping name. If you want to use the table in the application, if you want to view the table, or if you want to see the data in the application, so this is the name for the mapping. But actual table name in the rule basis, so this is the actual name, PR underscore alpha underscore data underscore stage table. Okay, this is the backend name actually, and here the table, actual table structure will be configured. And apart from that, some other rules will be created. Actually we don't use them, we'll be creating our rules manually but one report definition and 3 types of data pages will be generated. See, if want to use, we can use, but mostly we'll be creating our own user defined rules only we'll be creating. Okay, but what are data pages and what is the report definition purpose, you'll understand from the Wednesday session, you'll understand. Okay, so that is about the basics of about this data table. When data table or data type is generated, so these are the things it will be created. Now you can close this. Now you'll get the column source, like I mean to say, you can see the list of columns created in this table. So in the records tab, you can see the names of columns. So as of now, I'm going to assign 1 or 2 records, few records manually I'm going to assign, but these records will be using in the coming classes will be using. As of now, only table creation we have seen, but how to use this table, how to connect to these tables in the means after activity rule only we can start working on the tables. Okay. So I'm just assigning some records here. Okay, just have given some records. Actually, how to use these records in UI or how to load these records. Okay, dynamic records I said, right? So these data in what are the records given in the table? These are dynamic records, and we can load these records to the UI. We can load. Okay, that will be working in the next week classes. Will be working, and here you'll be getting actually found to import any data. Suppose if we have some hundreds of records are there, so you can import them. Okay, so you can export sorry, you can export them. Okay, or if you want to this data if you want to import, you can import to a file. So import and export buttons will be given, and if you want to add any more columns, if you want, or if you want to edit any data, edit means here we can add new columns or delete any column, but the class key column we cannot edit or we cannot change. Okay, so class key state code is set as a class key, right? So that we cannot change to some other property. Only once we can set the source. Again, after setting the after generating the table, we cannot change the source, or any for any new property we cannot set any source. But what are the edit things means, we can rearrange the order of the columns. If I want to change the order of, only two is there, so I am not changing. But it will also show some predefined columns. Don't worry, predefined columns I'll discuss in the next week classes. Some predefined properties we'll be discussing. Okay, so state code and state name, if you want to add new columns here, you can add. Okay, or from where we can add, if you go to the data model after creating table, if you want to add any more columns also, there is a scope, we can add more columns in the data model. Okay, automatically it will be updated in the column here, it will be updated. Okay. So like the tables are any tables if want to generate means from data type will be creating, and data tables mostly will be creating at organization level only will be creating. Okay, so up to here go through. So today we discussed regarding these some technical points regarding the flow, and these clipboard debugging, how to debug clipboard, and how to create the data type. Okay, from next week we'll be again working on some main business logic, but before that Monday session we'll be working on property rules, like a page properties we have, right? Second type, so that will be working, and some more additional settings in the UI design will be working. Okay, so in the present week any pending practicals are there, you can complete. Okay, so that's for today. Any questions?